Okay, so let's talk about AMC. We knew that we were likely to go and make a huge move to the upside. This was a sneak attack. Actually, if you take a look at this right before the earnings, the sentiment one changes even though the weekly and a monthly were up. And so we didn't know if we are going to go back and revisit $2.38. And then sneakily overnight, actually, they just brought this market up. And so, ideally speaking, if you got involved at like somewhere in this candle right here, if you were looking for 4 hour price action, that actually gave you a pretty good entry, which was right here. So as soon as the market opened up, $4, and then you went all the way to like 11, 12, $13, and then the price actually did a nasty move to the downside, lost the power in a signal. This would have been your exit. So if we entered here, you would have exited right here because there was a huge void to the downside. And so ideally speaking, you wanted to get involved right at 50 period moving average on a 4 hour chart. And that signal came in this afternoon, right around after lunch, actually. And so, as you can see, we still have the bearish sentiment one. But in light of what's happening on a daily and a weekly chart, I'm pretty confident that we actually could go back up to $7.33, which coincidentally is a power and a signal line on a weekly chart. Now, we are hopeful that this AMC is going to squeeze pretty hard. And the evidence that I have is based on what happened last time. So if you look at it, monthly chart on AMC, when it finally broke out from this nasty sell-off right here, and then it starts to close above and the sentiment turns green, then you had a huge squeeze to the upside. And so we go from like 40, 43, all the way to $722, 720. Now, this is, of course, the price is not the actual price because AMC had a lot of splits in between. And so, but you can see, you can still appreciate the move that AMC made, especially when the weekly and a daily chart came out from oversold category, and then now it's squeezed up pretty hard. Can something like this happen? Absolutely. But for that, we have to first capture the daily, weekly power and a signal line. If we start to close and remain above the power and a signal line, then of course the 50 period moving average would be a slight hurdle. But if we see that this thing is actually coming out from the oversold category, and we get out of this green zone and we start to close somewhere in the zone right here, we could see a huge squeeze coming through. And if that's the case, then the price could actually run up to $172, $278, which is 38.2% retracement. 50% retracement is a 363, and then 61.8% retracement is a $448. Again, we're trading at $4 and $5. So, in judging from how narrow the candles are, this is an ideal candidate for squeeze. And if that squeeze comes out, then we could potentially see these price actually in AMC. So we're going to hold tight on this position, and we're going to take a look at it on a daily 4 hour chart, weekly chart to see what's going on with AMC. One of the other only concern that I have is on a weekly chart. This is still pointing down. This has to get neutralized, and what I'm thinking is that in coming up next weeks, the price is actually going to go chop around a little bit more here. Maybe you go up to like $11, $12, come back down just a little bit, and then make our journey to the upside. Last time this move took about, I want to say about 6 months before it finalized. Yeah. So from January to June, and something like that similarly is something that what I'm thinking that could happen here is that it could take about 6 months before AMC, gets a squeezing to the upside. Now, of course, we have to be mindful and we have to look at the 4 hours, especially a daily chart. If we start to capture the power in a signal line, hypothetically, let's just say that in coming weeks, we should not lose this again. If we start to lose this, then there's less confidence, especially on a weekly chart as well. If we start to lose the power in a signal line, let's say we go up to $13 and $14, and then we do a little bit of pullback, but then this time on a weekly chart, we start to close below the power in a signal, that's not a good news for AMC. So we have to be mindful. We have to keep an eye on it. and then make our decision whether to get out of the AMC or stay in it for long term. So I hope this helps, and I will see you at the next update. Take care.